Welcome to the Real Estate Investment Nomad podcast. I am your host, Nathaly Salas, an international real estate expert. Join me as we explore the thrilling world of global real estate. We'll uncover diverse international markets, backed by solid data and engaging insights. Each episode features expert guests from the hottest markets, providing you with the knowledge to invest wisely and successfully. Whether you are a local realtor aiming to go global or an investor curious about international opportunities, this is the podcast for you. Get ready to transform your approach and achieve global real estate success to become a real estate investment nomad. Hello, everybody. This is Nathaly with the Real Estate Investment Nomad podcast. Today, we have Felix Bravo, which is the VP, Vice President of Global Growth at EXP. So we're super excited to have you here, Felix, and thanks for making the time for this podcast.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to get to speak with you. And I've heard so many good things about your podcast. I listened to a couple episodes. So excited to learn a little bit more and just have some fun conversations.
Yeah, thank you. And we're super excited because this is an international real estate that not everybody talks about. It's kind of a topic that feels so far away for some real estate professionals, especially in the US. Most realtors are focused on their market and they're like, right now I'm too busy to think outside of that. And I want to use you to share your experience. How do you end up in the real estate space? And, what made you start? Because I was reading about your profile and you started as a part-time in college and now it's your full-blown profession. And can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So my mom was actually a real estate agent. We were originally from Venezuela, from Caracas, and we moved to Miami when I was pretty young. My mom was a lawyer in Venezuela and then moved to the United States, and her degree just didn't work, obviously, in the US. So she became a real estate agent. And I got exposed to real estate agent life really early on. My mom used to take me with her to open houses and showings whenever, she didn't have anyone to take care of me, basically. And I got to really live it and breathe it. And so she always told me that I should just get my license just to have it, that it was a good thing to have. And I didn't think too much of it. So I got my license as soon as I could. I went off to college. And then during my early years of college, one of my best friends growing up, his father worked for had a pre-construction company. And I asked for just a part-time job just to make a little bit of money on the side. And he offered me a position, basically just calling 200 phone calls a day, just trying to drive traffic to the project. And I did that for a little bit and kind of gained some traction and eventually ended up closing a couple of my own sales and just sort of fell in love with the opportunity. Something in my head kind of clicked where I was like, oh, I can take control over how much money I make, how much money I earn. I can build a business out of this. Real estate, like the real estate agent life, always seemed kind of crazy to me. I wanted to go to college and study finance and get a degree and do all these things in the finance world. But then I started building my real estate career and I just realized how much potential it had for myself. And I really loved the idea of getting to build my own business where every single year it's up to me how well I do. And so I did that and I stuck in the pre-construction space here in Miami, Florida for a while. I was a sales director at one point and had a team of about 12 to 15 agents, depending on what year it was. We had a lot of inventory. We had 4 projects in Bay Harbor, Ball Harbor area, and even Hollandale. So it was a really great space. I loved working in it. And, still from time to time, we'll do the occasional sale where it's usually just from family or friends because I'm now just so focused on my job as the VP of Global Growth. But it was a fun transition from part-time to full-time. I got to be in the trenches for 5 or 6 years as a full-time agent, build my own team as well. So I got to explore a lot of different opportunities.
That's amazing. And were you doing that with your mom's brokerage or the developer, or that's when you transitioned to EXP?
Yeah, no, I did that directly working straight for the developers at first. And then I was with an independent brokerage. So I had actually started my career at very old school real estate brokerages, very little technology, very little tools and systems. And by around 2019, I kept hearing about the word PropTech, which means real estate technology. And it really fascinated me, this idea that there's real estate companies that are technology backed or driven by technology, because I had never experienced that. And we didn't have, I think my CRM was like a Google Excel sheet at the time. So we didn't have a whole lot of tools at our brokerage. And I eventually joined a company, one of my previous companies called Side that I was at for a while, and Radius, which were these 2 VC backed real estate companies that really honed in on technology. And I had a great time there and was able to really build my career a little bit further. And I had heard about EXP obviously so many times as EXP continued to grow and scale. And it wasn't really until I understood what EXP was solving, the problem it was solving, which was that most agents don't have a retirement. My mom retired from real estate, retired from being a real estate agent, and she had like 20 or 30 clients around there that had worked with her throughout her entire career, that they always gave her referral business, bought multiple properties with her, and they knew me for years. And when my mom retired, she passed on that book of business to me. And I had a split with her where I would, she gave me her clients, so I would give her a percentage of every deal. And that book of business really disappeared. It's extremely difficult to pass on a book of business because this is real estate. We're in the US. A couple weeks later, someone's son or daughter or cousin or friend became a realtor and they want to help them. And some clients aren't super educated sometimes on working with a professional versus working with someone who just got their license. And I really felt that impact of, wow, my mom's retiring now from being an agent. What does she have to kind of show for it from her book of business? She was thankfully was very smart and was able to invest her money and buy properties and things like that. But in the meantime, like, what's going to happen to me eventually when I want to stop selling properties, right? And I was kind of teetering that question around and thinking about it. And then EXP, once I understood the model and it did all the things I was looking for, it had an international presence. It had transactional excellence. It was extremely agent-centric. That's our mission statement, to be the most agent-centric brokerage in the world. That really resonated with me. But then also hearing Glenn Sanford talk about that exact problem, that agents go on this hamster wheel of you're only as good as your last sale. And it's really difficult to build a business outside of that. And I had tried a bunch of different things at that point. Once I understood what EXP, the power of the model, could do, that's when I decided that it was the right decision for me, for my team, to transition over to EXP. So I was actually coming on board as just an agent before I even decided to take a look at some of the corporate opportunities. It wasn't until some of the corporate staff actually reached out to me as seeing if I was interested that I even knew that the opportunity was there.
That's amazing. You were shining from within, and then they saw your
Yeah.
potential. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. It was a very fluid transition, and I've been at EXP now for, I think, a little over a year, which is awesome. And it's been the amount of professionals I've been able to connect with, the amount of unique individuals I've been able to connect. We're 90,000 agents across 24 countries, and we're all so interconnected. We're an independent brokerage. There's a lot of franchise models out there that are international, but they're really just a bunch of branch offices that are in across different borders. They're not really connected the way our systems connect, the way our agents connect. So I think a part of that is just the fact that we're independent, and also that we have built this business model that is revolved around collaboration has really helped me grow as a professional, helped me grow as a human being as well. So I'm really happy.
That's awesome. And I like that you mentioned the fact that coming from the PropTech industry and now you're in real estate, which is really well connected. Many realtors, I feel like they find pieces and they try to put the pieces together. If they have an independent brokerage, it's hard to maintain the technology. It's expensive. And when they want to provide that to their agents, they struggle a little bit as an independent owner trying to buy technology for their agents to even have their websites. The integrations that EXP provides to the agents just by a small fee per month is huge. I feel like that's a lot of benefit from coming from your background. Can you share a little bit more about the technology and how some brokerages that want to stay local and small kind of are missing out on, because these platforms can be really expensive per month to maintain as a solo owner?
Yeah. So you're talking about teams or just solo agents?
The teams, like the brokerages,
Yeah.
the independent brokerages.
Yeah. So we've actually had quite a large amount of independent brokerages who have transitioned to EXP over the last couple of years, specifically in the last year when there was so many uncertainty in our industry and so many changes happening legally. Most independent brokers, they're very successful real estate agents who then open up a brokerage because it's just the natural life cycle sometimes of an agent, where a lot of times they want to build a business so that they don't have to always just be an independent real estate agent, just always trying to sell more homes. And sometimes they have these amazing things that make them unique, right? Some brokers can be really good at training. Others maybe have really good access to technology. Some have a big book of business that they share. There's all these things that will make them unique and build their own value proposition. And so they work really hard to build their own community, their own culture, their own identity. And what ends up happening is, and what you'll find is that it's not very easy to operate an independent real estate brokerage profitably. It's a business of thin margins. There's a lot of variables. And so what the opportunity that EXP really presents for these independent brokers is that we get to now act almost as a real estate platform for them and not a real estate brokerage. So we're really this back-end platform that is the largest brokerage in the world, publicly traded company, I think close to 3,000 staff members, who has thrived on being agent-centric, but then also building immense amounts of infrastructure to support the amount of agents and transactions we have. We sold more homes than any other real estate brokerage in the country last year, the last 2 years in a row. And when you're doing that high volume of transactions, you need to have the right infrastructure, the right teams, the right processes and procedures and technology in place. So for independent brokerages, instead of trying to recreate that back-end system, they get to come into EXP. We get to take all their back-end operational costs, and now they get to thrive in a system that is built on transactional excellence. And they get to focus on what it is that makes them unique as their brand, right? If you're Unicorn Properties, for example, and you're really good at training, you get to focus on that, on training your agents. You don't have to worry about legal liability, transaction processing, all the tech tools and resources. We provide all of that. And now you have access to our staff. So if you're an independent brokerage of 20 agents, you now have 3,000 staff members who are there to help you, and we make you instantly scalable. So if you start in Florida and you wanted to expand out to Texas, for example, or New York, you'd have to go hire a broker, maybe open up an office, get all the technology and tools. Whereas if you were at EXP today, tomorrow you could be in New York just by finding an agent who wants to join you there. And we're all on the same tools and resources. So there's a ton of advantages for an independent brokerage to transition over to EXP. I think you get to leverage our entire back end operations, and we become a platform for scalability, profitability, and then also for operational excellence. B, we make you hyper scalable, both internationally and nationally, without you having any exposure or financial risk into expanding your brand. And then C, you really do get to offer your agents a different level of value proposition, because now they have the opportunity to earn equity, healthcare, revenue share, which become massive retention tools. Another big problem that happens to independent brokers, and it happened to me in the past when I was running my team, was that you spend a lot of your time training agents. And you'll find an agent who's brand new. This has happened to every broker in the country. You find a brand new agent, you build them up, you give them so much of your time, energy, love, passion, because you want to help them become better. And eventually they do become a lot better. And then they say, okay, now it's time. I've outgrown you. I want to go do my own thing. I want to build my own brand. I want to go do something else. And you can't fault them. That is just the natural cycle of business. But sometimes it feels like you spent all this energy in making them good, and then you don't reap the rewards of it. Within the EXP model, if you bring on board your brokerage and you've got your team now, and one of those members leaves, but they've been earning revenue share, healthcare, stocks, all these things, they won't want to leave EXP. They like our back-end systems, and now they want to build their own team. You're actually, as the owner, you're incentivized to go and let them flourish, because now they're going to build their own team. And because of our revenue share model, you're now incentivized to continue to help them grow, and you can maintain a collaborative relationship. So there's a lot of different avenues to look at it as an independent brokerage. But especially with how uncertain times are right now, we just have probably the most we definitely do have the most amazing group of leaders in the real estate industry. Our founder, Glenn Sanford, was a top agent at Keller Williams and built the first virtual independent international real estate brokerage, first cloud-based brokerage that grew to become the largest in the world. He's a true visionary. Leo Pareja, our CEO, was the #1 real estate agent at KW for 2 years in a row in the world, sold like 4,000 homes with a very small team. Holly Mayberry, I can go on and on listing our entire team, Kendall Bonner. In every sector, EXP has gone and sought out the best of the best and recruited them to help our agents continue to thrive and to adapt to an ever-changing landscape. So it's really exciting, and I get very passionate about this stuff. So I always love talking about it.
Yeah, I see that. And I love it too. And especially because you mentioned cloud brokerage. When it comes to the US, connecting, many agents can say, well, I'm at this X franchise. I can send leads to other states. But when it steps out of the US or Canada boundaries, I feel like the world is a wild, wild place when it comes to real estate. What's your take on, because we met at the conference last June in
Yeah.
Lisbon, and I feel like that conference was amazing because we were able to connect with other people that, we have the same mindset, we think global, and we know that how we can do it. Many brokerages within the US or independent agents don't have that chance because they don't know or it seems too big. So what would you advise either a realtor that is very successful in what they do, but they want to expand their book of business to international space?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's a lot of different answers. I would say that nobody ever has everything figured out, and you should always be striving to grow, whether that's through EXP or not. You should always be looking to continue your professional education. You have to have an open mind and continue to learn and continue to get better. EXP is really proudly the place where professionals, where the pros go to grow. And it's just like the proof is in the pudding kind of a thing. We have the top producers in almost every market, the agents who are doing the most transactions. We definitely have the highest level of coaching and coaches in our industry are at EXP. So if you're an independent agent who's looking to go global, international, or to grow your business more, EXP provides a platform that exposes you to things outside of just your market. So we talked about how other brands who are franchises might not really communicate well. If I was at a franchise model here in Miami and they were open in Portugal, since we were in Portugal, and they called a franchise in Portugal within the same franchise model, the person in Portugal would be like, I have no idea who you are. There's no reason for me to help you. I'm running my own Portuguese franchise. You're running your own Miami franchise. I don't care that the branding and the color is the same. We're totally different people. Why would I help you? It might not be that dark, but there's not as much of an incentive for them to really work with one another.
Yeah.
Whereas an EXP agent in Alaska called our country leader or a managing broker or a staff in Portugal, we're all under one branch office. They will treat you just like an EXP agent, not like you're a part of someone else's franchise model or someone else's franchise. So we're not a bunch of different franchisors with our own different rules, our own different regulations, our own different best practices. No, we are one company with all of our in-country staff in all these different places open to helping you. We've got an amazing referral platform across 24 countries where we do close to 20,000 referrals a year. It truly is a very collaborative space. So for independent agents, I would say if you're looking to make yourself international, if you want your brand to be global, the day you join EXP, congratulations, you are now in 24 countries. That is a massive value proposition to your sellers, to your buyers, to the clients you work with, investors, because you have access to tools and resources in those countries and some of the top agents in those countries as well.
Yeah, I love that part from EXP because literally I can just call the managing broker from Dubai, and if I have a question specifically of a development that I don't know much about and she knows the market very well, right away she can be like, it's a go, good one. Don't be careful with that one, because when you step out of the US, we have some developments that they paint a nice picture that how things are going to look like, but unless you validate with a local realtor or a local professional, you just don't know. And the risks of putting your client through a purchase that if you don't know the market and if you don't know the professionals over there, in Mexico, it happens a lot. So I was based in Chicago and I moved to Mexico because I saw the opportunity there, because a lot of the realtors there, they just don't give the customer service as we do in the US, because it's just, you don't have to study for it. No license is required. So because of that, the risk of the client going to Mexico, let's say, to buy a property, and you're dealing with somebody you don't know, or they don't have the training. And on top of that, you just don't know what type of properties you're buying. And they don't have the knowledge themselves to educate the client on the risks that they can encounter. So I think by having this global community, I was able to, I live in Chicago, but I spend 9 months out of the year in Mexico, just because we are intaking our clients there. And because of the platform of EXP, we can just be in both places at the same time, sending leads to Chicago if I cannot fulfill them, and be there for my clients in Mexico when they come and actually visit and physically need me there. And I think before EXP, that would be almost impossible because there's no remote agent. You have to be in your local market. And usually I feel like realtors don't take vacation because you have to be with your client at all time. Otherwise, they want to find somebody else if you're not there for them when they're traveling. Let's say to Miami, there's a lot of international investors there. So I think that has been given the freedom to a lot of the agents to be like, let me test these other markets. There are some agents that I know from North Carolina. After they went to Lisbon, they're like, I want to learn more about the Portuguese market and maybe spend 6 months here, join a team, and then probably learn more from on the ground without leaving your business behind in North Carolina, per se. Do you see any success stories like that? I feel like I hear them daily, but you that are in corporate, probably you hear them more. Is there any one that stands out to you that you want to share?
Yeah, I hear success stories all the time, and it's not always as drastic as like an agent saying, I'm going to go spend 6 months in Portugal. It's most of the time as simple as, I'm going to educate myself on some of the opportunities in the international market. And then they build an alliance or a strategic partnership with somebody from EXP Portugal or EXP Spain, and they're able to refer business back and forth to one another. The more you're aware of what's going on in your market, the better prepared you are for your clients. But if you want to take on a different level of clientele and you want to be able to attract people from outside of your market as well, even if you're in the middle of West Virginia somewhere or whatever the case may be, not to pick on West Virginia, but maybe not the most international market in the world, you can still be an international agent with international presence because of your connectivity to these countries, and you can educate yourself and learn. So I do hear success stories like that quite frequently, actually. I hear so much about people who refer business back and forth to one another, who refer agents back and forth to one another from like agent attraction perspectives, or an agent in the US who meets a business partner in Mexico, for example, and that agent joins EXP Mexico under the agent in the US, and now they have this beautiful downline in Mexico and build a team. So there's a lot of different success stories. It's really hard to pick out one, but I think last month there was a listing for like 25 million euros, a very high-end luxury listing that was referred from a US agent to an agent in Portugal. And that to me is just amazing. Just because that person was a part of EXP, they were able to get that opportunity and they picked up a $25 million listing, right? So there's a lot of unique advantages and opportunities that you can have being here.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Like the opportunity of the network and the connectivity. And I think as after June, I think the portal was launched, the referral portal rolled out to the rest of the countries. And
Yeah.
the technology behind it is amazing because before we used to send contracts to each other as a referral, but now it's seamless. You find a directory who is in that area, and then you can select them and straight send them a referral that same day. You don't have to find who's their managing broker. You don't have to go send signatures to different people to make this referral happen. Now it really happens within a few seconds. Can you share more about the platform and how is the benefit behind it? I've been using it already, so I like it.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's super simple. If you have a client, if you're in Miami and you have a client who's selling their house here, so you sell them their house and they want to move to wherever, Italy, for example, you can go on the EXP referral platform and you can say Milan, Italy, and it'll show you all the realtors we have in Milan, Italy from EXP, right? So agents within the platform. You can also see what they specialize in. Are they a luxury agent, pre-construction agent, investor agent, whatever the case may be. So you can really hand it off to the right person. You can see how many years of experience they have, how much time they have with EXP. And then it also creates a lot of safety within that referral, because what a lot of agents don't understand is that internationally, like you said, if you do business with an agent outside of EXP in Mexico, for example, or Colombia or any other country that doesn't have strict regulations, there's no guarantee that they're going to honor their end of the deal, because they can put that transaction through somewhere else and it gets kind of complicated. Within EXP, the agreement gets drawn up within our platform and the payment goes directly to EXP. So you're secure on both sides. And then we distribute the check to both agents based off what agreement you guys come up with. So it creates a lot of transparency, a lot of safety, and just a much better way to find your referral platform referral partners within our platform.
Yeah, I think that's super amazing. It's seamless. And I think, as you mentioned, it happened to me that before I joined EXP, I sent a referral to the Playa del Carmen area. And I didn't know much about international real estate back then, but I was looking for a platform similar to EXP. That's what I joined. I was like, wait, if EXP has all the platform, I mean, I don't have to build anything. I don't have to hire a developer to do this for me. And many realtors in Mexico try to build an MLS. And I'm like, But if you don't have adoption, you have a platform that is not used.
Yeah.
So when I sent a referral to one of the agents that I worked with before, and I bought my place there with her, she closed the sale, but she didn't tell me. And we agree on this. I didn't have an agreement of like maybe notarized probably, but we had an agreement. And yeah, I didn't. She said thank you and bye. And
Yeah.
literally, I was like, wait, that was $3,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not gonna go to her house. I'm in Chicago right now. I'm not gonna waste time and money with attorneys because lawsuits in Mexico take years. And I
Yeah.
was at that point, I'm like, okay, hopefully have a nice life, at that point. But that happened to many people that I've met in the past. So when I explain the EXP model, it's interested to them because they're like, what do you mean? I can actually pursue my commission even though I don't have to travel there to pick up my check. So I think
Yeah.
that has been a huge benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's unfortunate that happened to you, but it's a more common case than people would think. So we definitely pride ourselves on that transparency side of things and creating a better opportunity for our agents to just do business in a better way. So yeah, hopefully that never happens to you again, because now you can refer all your clients in the referral platform and make sure you're handing them off to a good agent, which in turn makes your client feel like you're truly a professional because you're handing them off to other professionals, right? So there's volumes to that as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. In your opinion, let's go back to the technology piece. I'm curious about that. And I'm asking because I come from a technology background myself before I was in real estate. Where do you see the future of EXP technology-wise? Like, where is EXP going? And we already have a lot of tools and a lot of training for realtors that even from within. But is there any, besides, I think AI is huge right now, like how it probably will be utilized within the company, that or other type of technologies coming up?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think technology, like any realtor who's been around long enough, knows how much technology has changed the business and changed the industry. Even in my period of my career over the last 9, 10 years, that the industry has changed a lot with technology. And the speed at which things will change is getting faster and faster, meaning things are changing quicker than ever before because the speed at which our technology is improving now, thanks to artificial intelligence, is continuing to increase, which means professionals who aren't leveraging technology now are only getting a bigger and bigger disadvantage over time. And so I think if you're an agent who's maybe not the most technologically advanced, it sounds scary to say, I want to learn AI. I want to do all this. There's so many tools. It's so hard. Where do I get started? I would just pick one or two things that you want to focus on within the technology space. Like I really want to improve my project management, for example. I have all these things that I want to do and I don't prioritize it well. There's a lot of great tools out there like Holospirit and Trello that are project management tools that can really help you. And so I would say just it's enough if you just find a couple tools that you want to get good at. I think where EXP is going technologically is we're continuing to maneuver into more agile, self-management styled technology platforms. And this is kind of going from the top down or from the bottom up, however you want to see it. But we continue to maneuver into agile business practices because our industry changes so quickly, technology changes so quickly, and you need to be able and ready to adapt to it. So in order for us to continue to serve our agents best, we need to make sure that we're on top of the newest and latest technology, newest and latest best practices so that we can continue to be efficient. So maybe that's not an easy answer to your question of like, here's exactly where we're going, but we're just maneuvering towards more agile business practices and definitely keeping an eye out on what opportunities unfold now with all these different changes happening in our industry and with technology rising so quickly. How will that impact our industry? What does selling a home look like 20 years from now? What did it look like 20 years ago? So many differences. I wasn't selling homes 20 years ago, but I know from seeing my mom sell homes and speaking to people in the industry and understanding sort of the history and lore of our business, homes were sold in a very different way. There was no electronic signature back then. There was no Zillow, I think, wasn't around at the time, or it wasn't as prominent and popular. People had to like fax each other contracts. And nowadays everything gets done with the click of a button, right? There are tools that will draft documents for you, send for e-signature. ChatGPT can do just about anything nowadays in terms of helping respond things, being that sort of like a transaction coordinator for you. So it looks really different, and it'll look even more different 20 years from now. So I think it's good to know that EXP and leadership and our technology team is trying to look ahead and not try to predict the future, but to try to keep up with the times and innovate so that we as a business, we're the first virtual brokerage in the US, or large independent virtual brokerage. So we've always sort of been ahead of the curve. We had the EXP world long before metaverse was a thing. There's a lot of different technology pieces that we've been using. And I think that's thanks to our leadership with visionaries like Glenn Sanford that have been instilled down through the company. And I would keep a lookout, because I'm sure we're going to continue to roll out new technology and better practices over the next 3 to 5 years. But also a lot of trainings on it. There's been so many trainings on how to use AI, how to use technology to your advantage as an agent. And you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not trying to take advantage of all the tools and resources available to you to be the best professional you can be. It doesn't mean you have to like all of them or use all of them, but just have an open mind, try to learn, and pick one or two that'll help you really make a big difference in your day-to-day or in your business.
Yeah, I think technology has been huge, especially during the pandemic. I think that's when EXP grew the most, from being online. Because when I talk to realtors, they're like, "What do you mean you don't have an office?" We're like, "We have an office. It's our office, but it's for our address." And then they're like, "But no, you have to have a front office." But then that shut everything down with the pandemic, and now nobody can have an office. So how do you see? The technology has been a big piece of that, but also the culture from EXP that has gone through the 3 years of the pandemic that happened, or two and some, and this is normalized, but this was in the works since Glenn started the company, right?
Yeah. So if you look at when we build our business model, nobody thought our business model could be successful. Nobody thought a virtual brokerage made sense at the time. And usually a lot of people thought the internet was just a fad when it came out. I remember the first time I heard of Bitcoin, I thought Bitcoin was like a thing that was going to go away after a couple months. And it's been whatever it's been now, 8, 9 years. So that usually happens when somebody creates something that's brand new. Henry Ford, created the first commercial car, created the first car for the people. He had a really great quote that was, if I would have asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses, not cars, because nobody knew what a car was, right? So we created this business model that wasn't adapted super quick, but over time proved to be the future. And we continue to see it. And even if you look at our industry now, the brokerages that are being made today are based off of our business model. We revolutionized the way the industry views real estate brokerages, not just virtual office spaces, stuff like that, but also our revenue share, equity. There weren't any companies offering equity into their brokerage. And now every single company wants to do it. There's so many different things that we pioneered and continue to pioneer. And even in the UK, for example, in England, when we opened up in the UK, and a lot of people won't know about this, but in the UK, most real estate brokerages, it's called estate agencies. Agents were salaried employees. They were not commission-based agents. So you became a realtor and you received a salary, and you got a really small commission, almost like a small bonus per transaction. And there was no successful brokerage out there that was independent contractors only. And when we brought EXP to the UK, our amazing leader, Adam Day, he's the head of EXP UK, he tells stories about how everybody said it was going to fail, because how could you be a realtor and not have a salary? How could you work for yourself? How could you work on commissions? That's very American. That won't work here. And in 4 short years, we're the third largest real estate brokerage or estate agency in England. And we provided this opportunity for agents to really own their own business. So we continue to pioneer, we continue to change and evolve. We have a relationship with Regus, which is a co-working space, and we have it internationally. So every single EXP agent across the world has access to any Regus office in their market. And in most markets, they have hundreds, or most countries, they have hundreds of offices. So if you do need an office, if a client wants to meet you for conference room space, or you just want to get out of your house, you have access to do that. So we have sort of a solution for everything, which has been great. But I think we'll continue to pioneer it, and you'll continue to see competitors learn from what we do. Yeah, I was trying to think of a nice way to say that, but learn from what we do and try to implement it best as they can.
I've seen that. Yeah. No, and I love your answer that it's pioneering, like the one that goes first, and you take all the risks, but also probably not all the reward, but a lot of the market share as well. And thanks for the story from UK. I didn't know that you can earn a salary as a realtor over there.
Yeah.
That's very nice, but at the same time limited too, because you can, like you mentioned, you work as much as you want, and then you can make as much money as you want where you are right now. And that's how you saw this career being for you, because you don't have a ceiling.
Yeah, correct. So you give more agents more opportunities.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Felix. How can people find you online? I have one last question, but I want to make sure that you share your social media links or LinkedIn. What's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, on social media, it's just Felix Bravo. On Instagram, it's Felix F. Bravo, because my middle name, many people don't know this, is Francisco. So Felix F. Bravo. Yeah.
Awesome. So then we'll also put your information in the description for this podcast. And our last question for all guests is to nominate somebody who should be in this podcast that is within the same mindset of international real estate. Leo Pareja was the one that nominated you. He's like, you have to talk to Felix.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
He's our CEO, and I was like, for sure. And then we were like, can we chat and have you on the show? Do you have anybody in mind? And probably it's like I'm taking you by surprise, but do you have anybody that you say you have to talk to this person because they have done global right, or they have struggled, but they did this and they need to share their story?
That's awesome. It's cool that Leo nominated me. I guess I'll continue down the chain. I'll nominate Adam Day, our UK country leader. I think he brought EXP to the UK. He started with just one person. We actually just crossed 600 agents a couple of days ago. We surpassed Keller Williams. I think we're the third largest or second largest now. You can confirm with Adam. And our EXP UK has been extremely successful because they have an amazing team and an amazing leader, and more importantly, amazing agents. So I think you'll be able to get some really great stories out of him that maybe people US side haven't heard yet. So I'd love for you to reach out to him, and I'll make sure to let him know that
you know him.
Podcast. Yeah, because it's been amazing. Thank you for having me. I look forward to seeing the podcast episode with Adam.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Felix. And we'll for sure be in contact. And for everybody else, you can find Felix online. I'm going to put all the links in the description below.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See ya. Thank you for joining us on the Real Estate Investment Nomad podcast. I hope today's episode has inspired you to explore new horizons in global real estate. Remember, the world is full of opportunities waiting to be discovered. And with the right insights, you can turn those opportunities into successful investments. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps us bring you the best content possible. Don't forget to follow us in social media for more resources and updates. Until next time, my friends, this is Nathaly Salas, encouraging you to think big, invest globally, and transform your real estate journey. Safe travels and happy investing.